Let's go straight to our headliner. Republican Senator John Barrasso of Wyoming joins us, chairman of the Senate GOP Policy Committee. Welcome to you, Senator. Thank you for being here this morning.
Thanks, Sandra. Great to be with you.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the program.
Senator.
Tuesday
Hi,
is
Eric.
going to be a big day. What do you expect from these hearings?
Well, a couple of things. But first, let me say, the Senate canceled the August recess. And I think it's been one of the most productive work periods you could ever imagine. We have confirmed yesterday another 7 judges. We have 8 lined up for next week. 27 additional nominees that the president have gotten confirmed, and we passed 9 of 12 appropriations bills, all lined up for next week's hearings with Justice Kavanaugh. I will tell you, people are going to see a well-respected, mainstream, highly qualified nominee who has written over 300 opinions, and he is going to do terrific when the hearings start Tuesday morning. But if we hadn't canceled recess, we would have never been at this position right now to get him confirmed.
But Democrats still don't have those documents that they're looking for. And you just heard the frustration from Chuck Schumer. He's saying that this is unprecedented secrecy. Yeah,
I've heard it all before from him. They have over 500,000 pages of documents, more than twice the number of documents that any other Supreme Court nominee has ever produced. There are 300 court case reviews that Justice Kavanaugh has written that they have reviewed. It's really interesting, Sandra. They want more documents, but so many of the Democrats came out opposing Judge Kavanaugh, even opposing any nominee from President Trump. They were saying that before the nominee was even named. So it's the hypocrisy is amazing when you say they want more documents, but they've already announced they're going to be against him. And Chuck Schumer, who was on the floor of the Senate, said very early on he will do anything he can possibly do to stop this nomination, period. Doesn't seem that more documents really matter at all to him. He's looking to delay and distract.
Senator, even absent the documents, can't the Democratic senators in the panel, don't you expect them clearly to ask Kavanaugh the questions about those issues, about his role in the George W. Bush administration, in terms of the documents that they want?
Sure, of course they will. That's not going to be a surprise. They're going to ask lots of probing questions. The judge is going to answer honestly, and then there's going to be a vote. The vote's going to be in September, and he is going to be confirmed and on the court by October 1st when they meet for their new term.
Real quick, Grassley was responding to this Democratic opposition to this hearing, and he said this: some of my colleagues on the other side, including Dem members of the Judiciary Committee, have asked that I delay Judge Kavanaugh's hearing. They've asked me to delay the hearing because of legal issues surrounding some of the president's former associates. It's not quite clear to me what one has to do with the other. But this is, by my count, the third strategy Democratic leaders have used to try to delay Judge Kavanaugh's hearing. I wanted to get your response to that.
Sure. They have come up with a number of different delay tactics. The argument they're using is one that could have been used when Bill Clinton was president of the United States and there were nominees being considered at that time. Look, if these were respectful times, Judge Kavanaugh would get confirmed with 100 votes. Remember, Ruth Bader Ginsburg got 96 votes, Anton Scalia 98 votes, but these are not the respectful times I think the Americans would love to have. Judge Kavanaugh is ready to go. He is well-respected, highly qualified, a mainstream judge, and will be seated on the Supreme Court October 1st.
And meanwhile, Senator, another issue that is really troubling a lot of people, that is North Korea. It appears that Kim Jong-un is backing away from the promises that he gave President Trump in terms of denuclearization. What are your thoughts and concerns?
Well, I think this is the part of what I had called the rodeo that we're going to be in with this, with Kim Jong-un. I think that Mike Pompeo and the president were right to say that Mike's not going to be in North Korea for upcoming meetings. The sanctions are going to continue. They're biting sanctions. Kim Jong-un will ultimately have to make the right decision. But the president was right, I believe, to meet with him. But the president is very clear-eyed on this. It may work. It may not work. We cannot allow North Korea to proceed with nuclear weapons. That will be stopped.
And the sanctions may even increase and may even get tighter. Here's U.S. Ambassador Nikki Haley, a warning of just that when she spoke before the Foundation for the Defense of Democracy. She received an award. Listen.
When it comes to North Korea, is it moving fast? No, but we never thought it would. We knew this was going to be a slow, tough process. Are they wishing or maybe changing their mind on denuclearization? It's possible, but we're not going to change our mind on the sanctions.
Do you in your heart, Senator, really believe that Kim Jong-un will give up his nuclear weapons?
I believe he wants to stay in power. He will do anything he can to stay in power. His desire is to not give them up. I think everyone in the United States understands that. But when he looks at what's happening in Iran right now with the sanctions there and the loss of the value of their currency and the disruption in the streets, and the fact is that the sanctions work. You need to continue them, tougher sanctions, as Nikki Haley has called for. It is ultimately going to be in Kim Jong-un's best interest, and he's going to only look at this from his own best interest, to give up his nuclear weapons.
You know, it's really interesting the way Marco Rubio, we've chatted with him a lot on this. His take on this is that this has failed, and it's the fault of Kim Jong-un only. But he says, I've never had much hope for talks with KJU because I knew North Korea wasn't serious about denuclearization. That said, the president took a gamble and bent over backwards to try and find a peaceful resolution. But this effort, like all the ones before, failed, and Kim Jong-un is 100% at fault. Are you willing to go that far and where we are and the status that we are in with North Korea?
No, I'm not. I don't believe that these have failed. I do believe that Kim Jong-un is not interested in going as far as I would like him to go. But we know that the world, I believe, is safer today than it was when President Trump came into office. Because of the discussions with Kim Jong-un, we're not seeing rockets being fired anymore. We're not seeing underground testing of nuclear weapons at this point. We don't see the kind of aggressive advances that North Korea was making. So I think that the president has made the right move, and especially with his Secretary of Defense and Secretary of State, with the statements that they've made. Look, we're going to move ahead with I believe the joint next year work between our military and South Korea's, but there's testing and practice going on every day with the Navy, with the Air Force, all of those things aimed at making sure that North Korea comes to the table and actually delivers.
Secretary of Defense Mattis said just that Kim Jong-un wants our 28,500 troops out of South Korea. He wants us to end those exercises, but here's Mr. Mattis saying that we will continue with those.
We took the step to suspend several of the largest exercises as a good faith measure coming out of the Singapore summit. We have no plans at this time to suspend any more exercises.
Between sanctions and continued exercises, do you think Kim will walk some of this back?
I believe he will. He continues to see what he can get away with, and when he sees he can't get away with something, he moves back. That's been the standard. But what President Trump is doing differently than previous presidents is he is sticking to what he said he will do. He's not giving up relieving sanctions or giving money or aid or food and saying, please do something better. He's holding out to make sure that actually the behavior changes before there is any relief.
Meanwhile, Senator Barrasso, we say goodbye to your friend and former colleague, John McCain, this week. And I know that you have issued a statement saying your goodbyes. And we wanted you to share some of that with us this morning.
Well, I'm going to be going to Arizona tomorrow for the services with the McCain family. He was a wonderful friend, an incredible colleague, a man of truly such courage, such credibility, such character. I've traveled around the world with him. People looked up to him, listened to him, respected him, whether it was the troops, whether it was foreign leaders. I was with him last summer, Memorial Day, in Vietnam, and we went to Hanoi, to the prison where he had been held a prisoner of war. And to think that anybody could, for 5.5 years, sustain the torture and the beatings and then be strengthened by it and come to lead the nation in so many ways. He's a remarkable man, and he was met with a hero's welcome by the people on the street, in the presidential palace, and then we went to Cameron Bay, and where the SS John McCain was, the ship that was named after his father and his grandfather. We had a meeting with all of the officers, all the enlisted men on the deck of the SS John McCain. He addressed all of them. He was beloved around the world and respected around the world. Truly, stubborn courage, heroic patriotism, one of a kind, and we are truly going to miss him, certainly in the Senate. in his home state of Arizona, but around the world, this loss is going to be felt for a long, long time.
Well, thank you for sharing those sentiments with us. The nation is remembering his life and legacy this week, and we really appreciate your time this morning. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Senator, thank you.
Thanks, Eric.